And there's nobody out there like it like I am.
Most days, parents like us get up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee or our favorite drink, go out the door for our daily routine, and then come home, settle in for the evening, and drift off to sleep. Without a single thought about who might represent us, our family sustainability efforts, and our children staying connected to their family members and to reality, if life deals us a wreck like a blueprinted divorce. This video is called Why CLU Promenades Will Be More Popular Than Beyoncé. Because I'll show you next in this explainer video, parts of it live from California, about our peer-to-peer intellectual property, or IP, and those royalties, and those license agreements that go along with those. So stay tuned. Author of the book Law and Side Law on Amazon, and co-founder of United CLU Parents Group. We're a reuniting ministry and family trial support and research group where we pray for one another and develop products like constructive child safety files, Family Law 2.0, Elena's Law, Madison's Initiative, and many other innovative solutions to risky family law versus law gaps. Safety nets for case cavities, or technically speaking, 360-degree solutions to 180-degree problems. In this video, I'm going to show you how socialites are influencing constructive childhood and family sustainability developments to be included in physically disconnecting systems, as doing so will keep unrighted and unrepresented peers relevant, actionable, not frozen, thoughtful, and educational. Part of it is live from two family courts in California, briefly going over why people choose conventional license fences like driver's license or state bar licenses, and why they'll choose our open access promenades, our IP solutions, and those licensing agreements. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Most days, parents get up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee or their favorite drink, go about their routine, come home, settle in for the evening, and drift off to sleep, without a single thought about who might represent them, their family sustainability efforts, and their children staying connected with their family members and reality if life deals them a wreck like a blueprinted divorce. Now, driving down the road, we don't normally expect to crash, but we do know that it happens. Cars even malfunction. Systemic accidents happen. Licensing a new driver on the road, a new family law practitioners for a court, or even new products and services in any field is perfectly normal. Just like at Microsoft, the Bar Association, or your local DMV driver services facility. In the early 1900s, Missouri and Massachusetts became the first two general assemblies requiring people to have state licenses to operate vehicles on the road. The American Bar Association, or ABA, was founded in 1878 to start licensing so-called lawyers. MS-DOS operating system was developed during the 70s, and in 1981 they began licensing other people to use MS-DOS, the start of Microsoft and Windows and similar products.
Friday, January 28th, 2022, and I'm here at the Santa Monica Family Courthouse in beautiful Santa Monica, California. The Lord blessed me with the opportunity to come out here and pray with some fellow peers going through family court, and so that's what I'm here to do. And I've also been learning about licensing intellectual property, so that's why I wanted to bring this video to CLU, because we'll have a lot of opportunities in the future to license some more of your own intellectual property. And I've been learning a lot from Stephen Keys and Andrew Krause. They're intellectual property coaches and consultants. And so what I'm doing here, besides praying, is, I have a sales sheet made up. I have a list of 20 people who might be interested in my intellectual property, the child safety files or family law 2.0 licensing. So I made one sales sheet up here for, I don't know if you can see it, for attorneys, if they might be interested in practicing child safety files like we do at CLU. And then I also have one made up for parents, like we've seen before, if they might be interested in doing what we do. And then to do that, after you reach out to maybe 20 or 30 people, if anyone's interested, then all it amounts to is a licensing agreement. They would sign a licensing agreement, and then after that, you have some kind of dues annually, and they would pay some royalties. And this would help this is important, I feel like, because say with like Christian and Madison's initiative, if any policymaker or lawyer or court wants to enact Madison's initiative in their case, or even on their paper divorce court contract, he should get royalties on that. If done properly, he can sign a licensing agreement, send out sales sheets, talk to lawyers about that, and maybe get some future royalties for Elena, and then will those to Madison. Elena also will have one too, or if she wants it, Aaron. But in Chris and Madison's case, he could also will the intellectual property in his last will and testament to Madison, so it stays in their family. Likewise with Aaron and Elena's law, that could be a license agreement if any lawyer or court or state representative wants to enact that somewhere down the road. And also with Evan's initiative, and of course with my two boys, Christian's initiative and Corey's act, it's the same thing. It's our intellectual property. And granted, I'm still learning a lot about this intellectual property stuff, but as far as I can see from all the top leaders in the industry, and even Elena Boyd, she's a Mississippi College of Law professor, she says that's how you go about doing it. So, and it's not so much about, you can't think about who's going to do this for you. You have to make these moves yourself and make the stand yourself. So hopefully we'll get some people on board, and we'll get some more peers involved. Thank you. Take care.
Hello and welcome everyone to another InventRight.com YouTube show. Stephen, how to license your product idea without a patent? Oh my God, how are you going to do that?
Well, Andrew, I wrote a book just on this topic. In fact,
come on, don't shamelessly promote your book.
Can you see it back? Where is it? Can you see it back there?
I can't. I think maybe to the left of your head there. I'm on a different camera angle.
All right, you guys, this is a great topic. In fact, I went on a speaking tour around the country talking about this. In fact, I'm traveling to Northern Ireland to talk about this. So I'm going to give it everything I have, Andrew, and this is going to be a great topic, because you don't need a patent to license your idea.
Reasons against licensing. Which came first? The outlawed bound chicken for trying to do what other chickens do, or the broken egg? Which comes first? The exclusion business of licensing fences for family court, Microsoft Word, licensed drivers, or the people who woke up one morning and realized they had an emergency need they didn't realize before? The fenced off chickens, or its broken eggs? Judge Judy is a known critic of some family courts. She calls them a dumping ground, quote, a dumping ground for political hacks, unquote. She practiced family law, and she's really concerned and warns people about there's no open access for the media and very few civil rights, if any, in the family courts. The U.S. government has been known to give Microsoft a lesson or two on antitrust accusations. And drivers are known to be reckless and go to prison for operating a vehicle without a license. So it's hard to believe that people wouldn't license our options for family-driven gifted grounds, family-driven data, peer-to-peer family-driven gifted grounds. We're not the bound chicken and broken egg option, but a free chicken and healing eggs option. Not drowned out, but CLU promenades in an island of those escalating adversarial tidal waves. An open access place while being battered during those closed adversarial places. Who wouldn't want something new?
Personally, I think of these new skills, new deals, and a new economy like we've been working on as a promenade. Like I'm here at this in Santa Monica, and down the road here there's a street with all the expensive shopping centers like Nordstrom's and all the high dollar stores right by the street, and that's called the 3rd Street Promenade. And the definition of a promenade is a paved pathway beside the sea. And that got me thinking, in our unrighted blank spaces, we always encounter at CLU, we can think of the promenade as like the constructive childhood and family developments that we've come up with. And that's intellectual property that we own outright. And the proven promenades like child safety files, constructive child safety files in the middle of sometimes toxic tidal waves of high conflict divorce. It's a good fit that these constructive child safety files are a promenade in the middle of toxic tidal waves.
The main point of why CLU promenades, intellectual properties, will be more popular than Beyoncé is that it looks like our promenades, our universal safety nets and case cavities are just that. They're universal. They're not just applied to one case because they were discovered in that case and grounded in that case, but they're applicable in a lot of other cases as well. So they're universal safety nets or constructive childhood and family sustainability files, or Elena's Law, or Clean Child Support, or Madison's Initiative, or Christian's Law, and on and on and on. I think you get the point of how they will be universal. So any prospect will have to ask themselves when presented with this information, which will come in last if they don't childproof family law versus law negotiations, which will come in last. And they'll have to see the reality of what will happen themselves. Each attorney, each social worker, and each peer like us needs our licensing agreement. And to see that, why they would need it and why it needs to be in each case, just ask yourself, which comes in last place? The systemically excluded, the socially excluded, the emotionally excluded people, the financially excluded people, and the psychologically excluded people, or the included times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever. That's pretty easy to see. The tied up chicken, who comes in last? The tied up chicken prevented from being a chicken like all the other chickens, or the broken egg? It's obvious, without our CLU promenades, our peer-to-peer intellectual property, who comes in last? That's who's dropping the ball if they're not agreeable to a new perspective. Without peer-to-peer developments like ours, do those expensive paywalls of, say, like Microsoft licenses, bar associated licenses, or driver's licenses keep some people out of commission, and perhaps also break their vulnerable eggs, prevent them from going to the grocery store or just living everyday life, especially in this day of COVID-19, Do they have digital access as well as everyone else? Do they go out of commission just for trying to be in commission like everyone else? Can parents who have a very large budget going through, say, a high conflict divorce, say it's a new case, very large budgets, there's people who lose millions of dollars in family court, do the two parties hollow out their own family financially and hollow out each other during those processes, often overtaxing those children in the middle by never coming to terms? And alongside those big budgets, are there poor peers like us at CLU and our vulnerable children who can't do anything about it? This gives them another option. This gives people more to offer. Our cases develop differently, as we've seen, and it comes, number one, from God and God's will, and from prayer and civil networking, which can't bind chickens nor break eggs. None of what we do is in that basket, that pen. Syncing with CLU can't bind chickens or break eggs because we're unrepresented socially already. We're unrighted legally already. We're just not we're not in those systemic markets. We're not a highly paid postured position on top of a highly paid postured position like you see in a lot of even boards or board directors. We're none of that. We're free, normal people. We're not centralized. We're decentralized. We're not closed access, we're open access. We're not county budget or money based. You can see how our IP is organically developed. It's not systemic at all.
So now I'm here at the Los Angeles Metropolitan Courthouse, the Supreme Court of California, County of Los Angeles. And you might be asking yourself, why are you there? Well, I'm here, number one, as you know, to pray for parents like us who are kind of unrighted in family court cases. And secondly, to literally show our peers how in conventional high conflict law versus law cases or in parental separation circumstances typically leave children uncovered at the least in the middle, or at worst, sometimes uncovered in toxic tidal waves of situations, adversarial parents or adversarial systems hollowing out the family. We also call that being overtaxed in the middle. That's at worst. And as a case, as you all know, can go from a simple amicable divorce to toxic versus toxic situations in the worst, most ongoing, expensive cases.
Now, if you look to the north side of the courthouse here, just 1.5 blocks, you'll see a overpass, and there are homeless camps underneath this overpass, the next overpass, and all around the courthouse. And I can't help but think, I know like in my case, a couple of us became homeless because of that situation. That is a factor in homelessness.
Which is really the opposite of the promenades that we do. But besides family court hollowing out the family, children also get hollowed out in the middle of these situations, socially, emotionally, financially, as a lot of you know, psychologically, as a lot of us know, especially during toxic tidal waves. So our CLU Promenade, you know, is different in those fields. We don't just leave children placed directly, vulnerable children placed directly in the paths of those overlapping hostilities, nor fields that cater to those overlapping hostilities directly in case cavities. Like I remember, Benjamin Franklin once said that going to court is like a fish between two hungry cats. And that's kind of the situation with our vulnerable children placed directly in these spaces. You know, they're like a fish between two hungry cats, which the winner and the loser is placed between two hungry dogs And if they still don't agree, then they're placed between two hungry crocodiles, and so on and so forth, all the way between two hungry schools of piranhas. So we don't make family gaps exaggeration versus exaggeration, exclusive versus exclusion. You know, what we do is, you know, we're talking financial DNA in the middle of those for the vulnerable children in the middle, social DNA, academic DNA, psychological DNA for children in those vulnerable situations. And you can see that with our literal case file folders. You know, it's different than the file folders of family law versus law that go in here. And the difference between our thinking, you know, we're in the middle of those overlapping situations, we're thinking child safety files, which is different than what they're thinking in here. Our pen work or our catching images on social media or achievements is totally different than what they're trying to catch and put in here. The tables in the courtroom are adversarial, whereas ours are, you know, justice at your table too. Our promenades don't leave children placed directly in the middle of those toxic tidal waves. Then if you're looking at the courthouse from the south side, the other side of it than we were just on, and you go right across the street, there's what's called the Child Development Center. You know, first-hand orders, like from a judge to go to a child development center or systemic place like that, as a lot of us know, is another family gap. A first-hand order is a place for added cavities in cases, you know, because if you go here and the supervisor or the supposed developer says something contrary to the parent, they're going to have that on record, and, you know, you're filed in to going by what they say. And if that goes back to court, you know, you're on record filed into what they say. So it's going to be like an endless ping pong back and forth if there's any further capital conflicts or disagreements. You know, that's another hollowing out space, another cat between two fish, between two cats. I'm sorry, another fish between two cats, between two dogs, between two crocodiles, between two schools of piranhas.
Final thoughts. Now, if you woke up one day and went through one of those revelations, you can even write your own resulting intellectual property or IP that was discovered, and put that IP in your last will and testament if you want to, so that your children who pioneered that IP themselves will inherit any royalties from your future license agreements or from their future license agreements. Lord knows deal makers and policymakers will never unhide them through that process and give them royalties. We're not champions promoting and systemically causing family gaps and those case cavities like war. But we're champions for children, preventing or covering organically those experiences, like peacefully. Now, together, childhood safety and family sustainability begins and ends with you and your peers. A new economy and brand new narratives that don't exclude chickens for literally being chickens. So we can wake up one day, go about our day, and if we happen to get surprised attack, go through a war, peace, court, we can do all that with care. Who do you know that has children with painful parental trial issues? Who do you know that has divorce, deployment, or separation that's gone wild, like war? Because now peers like us can nourish ourselves healthy, and our children are blessed with rockstar parental access instead. Now, even broken eggs can have rockstar chicken-like access.
The world looks really good for me because child safety files are all I see. Whatever it is, I think I see is 'cause a new clean law is just for me. www.cleanlawtoday.
Subscribe to CLU on YouTube and stay tuned for our next release. You won't want to miss it because we're going to get into creating digital currency to help our nuclear family connection stay alive, functional, cross-functional, and thriving. See you then.